present the Scouts Dream Award to my good friend, George Brett.
Thank you. I don't know what these things are here. I've never done this before where they had these little things here I can read, but there's nothing on there to read. But Art, I want to thank you. Art's been one of my best friends for 30-something years. I signed with the Royals in 1971 out of high school, and he was the scouting director back then, and we've become very, very close friends. Something that I would like to say, I don't know how many organizations in Major League Baseball have ever inducted a scout into their organization's Hall of Fame. The Royals last summer inducted Art Stewart into the Royals Hall of Fame. That's how important the Scouts' lives are. And Art gave one of the greatest speeches. I know today when he got here, they said that, Art, you get 1 minute to introduce George, and they gave him a thing to read. Art didn't read one thing. He wrote his own. Probably lasted over 1 minute. The game in Kansas City, when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, it was a 15-minute delay. Instead of the game starting at 7:05, it started at 7:20 because Art likes to talk. Whitey Herzog just got an award right before me, and Whitey and I go back to the mid-1970s, and when he came over to manage the Kansas City Royals back then, he was the biggest influence on my life. To this day, I call Whitey my second father. He taught me an awful lot about the game of baseball. He taught me an awful lot about the game of life. And Whitey, I really cherish your friendship. Also, I would like to introduce a gentleman here tonight. My high school baseball coach is here with me. I brought him here last year. John Stevenson, the coach from El Segundo High School. He's been there since 1960. John, would you please stand up? Stand up, John. I grew up about 20 miles from here in El Segundo, and John was very instrumental in not only myself, but my three older brothers becoming professional baseball players. Obviously, I think a lot of you know my brother Ken was a first-round draft pick by the Boston Red Sox in 1966, and in 1967 was pitching in the World Series against the St. Louis Cardinals. John taught us a lot about life, but he also taught us a lot about competitiveness. And John, to this day, I really do not believe that I would be the ball player I was in the major leagues if it wasn't for you. So thank you. I remember back to my high school days when the scouts like Rosie Gilhousen, Joe Stevenson from the Boston Red Sox, Phil Rote, Bob Harrison, Harry Miner, George Genevieve, Lou Gorman, John Sherholtz would come to games out here just to find that guy that could maybe they could draft and make it to the major leagues. And I remember seeing those guys at our games all the time. And I remember one time, the guy, Neil Mahoney, I believe his name was, from the Red Sox, came to one of our practices because he was going to go to another game to watch another guy, but he came to our practice, and my high school coach, John Stevenson, he said, George, there's a guy coming in from the Boston Red Sox to watch his practice today. He's not going to watch us play in a game, he's going to watch us practice. So do everything the way we normally do, just don't take a day off. And that's the scouts, that's what scouts have to deal with. When I retired in 1993, Allard Barrett, our general manager, brought me to Miami Beach. And I went down there and I scouted these two kids, and then with him. And then we came out to Los Angeles, and I scouted a guy with him, Mike Stadoka from Corona Del Mar, I believe. And then we went to a game at Cal State Fullerton. We went to a game at Loyola Marymount. And Allard's asking me to fill out all these reports. And I'm saying, okay, now what does all this mean? I mean, I don't understand how to fill out those reports. But it was pretty interesting, and it's a tough job. And I realized right then the importance and the backbone of every organization is the Scouts. And the input that the home office gets in their city, whether it be Milwaukee, Chicago, Kansas City, whatever, I realized the importance of these guys that jump in a car and they drive around and they watch high school games, and they might not see anything, but they have to do that. That's their job. And for me to be able to come here and get an award and to help raise money for these Scouts is something very, very special. I left home Thursday. It was -1 degrees in Kansas City. I grew up 25 miles from here, 20 miles from here, and I still have a lot of friends. And a lot of my friends that I went to high school with are members of country clubs. Well, I played Big Canyon on Thursday, I played Virginia on Friday, and I played Bel Air Country Club today. There's no place I would rather be right now than when I left Thursday. It was -1. Yesterday we got 3 inches of snow in Kansas City, and I got to play golf 3 days, and I'm moving into a new house in 3 days. So this has been fantastic for me. 2 years ago, my family got an award here, the Boone Award, and I was very, very excited about that. Unfortunately, my wife, who I wasn't married to my whole baseball career, I got married when I was 38 years old and retired when I was 40. She booked a cruise to the Caribbean with myself and my 3 kids. And so it was hard to get out of that cruise, and I promised Dennis Gilbert that last year I would buy a table. I bought a table last year, and I was sitting right over there about table 39 or table 37. And I said, Dennis, I'll buy a table the rest of my life, and I'll keep coming to this dinner because I believe in the cause. And then this year I get an award, and it just blew me away. But Dennis, thank you so much for the award. I'm sorry I missed it 2 years ago. I look around the room, and I see the likes of Bud Selig and Tommy Lasorda and Jerry Reinsdorf and Pat Gillick and Jeff Idelson, who's the president of the Hall of Fame. Goose Gosh, it's Dave Winfield, Kevin Tower, Brett Saberhagen, the Boone family again. And Dennis, there isn't one person in the world that can assemble that many people that have that much respect for the game of baseball. And Dennis, I can't thank you enough for what you do for all the Scouts. I can't thank you enough for what you do for the game of baseball. And I can't thank you enough for being a friend, not only to myself, but to the Brett family. And I want to thank everybody for coming tonight and supporting the Scouts. So thank you for coming.